On today's DNVR Broncos show, we're breaking down the final 53-man roster. Who will the Broncos keep? Who will they cut? Starting with quarterback. Will the Broncos keep three quarterbacks, Zach Wilson and Jarrett Stidham? Or will one of them be traded or cut? We've got an insider joining us to break it all down, starting now.
But this feels fucking great! This feels fucking great right here, baby! Hey, we gotta cross the line. It's time to whoop their ass! It's time to whoop their ass! Let's bring them to these boys now! Let's go, y'all! It's on us! Let's go to one! Let's go to one! Broncos on three! 1, 2, 3! Broncos!
Let's go, baby! What a way for Todd Davis to come back. He is back, baby.
Yeah, I'm back. It's time to get rolling, man. I got a lot to talk about. So.
That's an understatement. And what a perfect day to have you on than to talk about the 53-man roster. I mean, there is no better insider that you could have on than a guy that was inside the building for a month straight. Did you leave the building, Todd?
No, I don't think so. Besides that away trip, I think I was in there pretty much 24/7.
Yeah, always under Sean's watch, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, so pumped that Todd is back. So many people have been asking because a lot of people saw your announcement on our show that you were going to be doing a coaching internship with the Broncos. But then a lot of people missed that. And so every single day we had so many people, where's Todd? Where's Todd? Is he coming back? So quickly, Todd, you just want to tell us what this past month has been like? What you've been up to?
Yeah, man, it's been great. I've been doing an internship with the Denver Broncos, helping out with the linebackers on defense. I was there for the entire last month, but it's been great, man. Getting to be around the team, around the coaches, feels like I was right back at home. Being on the sidelines, I, thought about throwing on a jersey again, just because it felt so good to be back, in Mile High, and also, when we travel with the team.
Man, that is so cool, and we're so excited to pick your brain about, this roster, but then also just like what it's like to be a coach over these next couple of days and over these next couple of weeks, and continue to get your insight, because this is the only show that has a Broncos coach sitting live on the show every single day. So the information we're going to get from you, Todd, is going to be awesome. And also, we're excited to have you back for the vibes. I mean, look at the Toyota chat right now, live inside the Toyota lounge here inside the DNVR Bar. Of course, driven by your local Front Range Toyota stores. The Toyota chat's going crazy that you're back. We're pumped you're back. They're pumped you're back. And let's dive in. But before we dive in, the first topic that we're going to talk about is quarterbacks. Obviously, well, I got to get your thoughts on Bo Nix in a second, but obviously it's Bo.
Yep.
And then are they going to keep two other quarterbacks? Are they going to try to trade Jarrett Stidham, Zach Wilson, cut one of them, ask for a pay cut for one of them? We're going to dive into that. But I mentioned Bo Nix. We've got a new shirt that we just dropped last night. LFB. Let's frickin' Bo. Or if you want the rated R version, let's fucking Bo shirt out there right now. You can get it over at the New Locker, which I'll give you the code or the ad website for in just a second. Do you have that up, Henry?
No.
It's right here. It is store.allcitynetwork.com. That's where you can buy it, is store.allcitynetwork.com, a new site where you can get all of DNVR stuff, all of PHNX's stuff, all of PHLY's stuff, all of CHGO's stuff. And this is another big day. Not only do we get Todd back, not only do we drop a shirt, but we've got a fifth market with us now. This morning, we just launched Dallas, DLLS. So we've got 5 different networks going on today. Awesome day for All City and the brand. Awesome day for DNVR Broncos to drop this shirt. An awesome day to get Todd back. So if you want the LFB shirt, get it just in time for the season. Go to store.allcitynetwork.com. calm. So, Todd, before we dive into this roster, who's going to make, who's not, Bo Nix, tell us what your impressions of him were, because obviously Henry and I were impressed with him, thought he should be the starter. He became the starter, but from an inside perspective, tell us about Bo.
I thought that Bo handled training camp as a rookie very well. I felt like he was very on point and didn't feel like a rookie. He worked hard and he was dedicated. I like to get a workout in every morning, so before the day started, I was getting the workout in. Of course, Bo was in there being a leader himself, so starting the day off with a workout.
Wait, who lifts more?
What? I mean, we don't have to go into that. Let's just talk about the good things that Bo does. You know what I'm saying? But he just started off the morning, focused, and then he just continued that with practice. And I just thought day in and day out, he continued to, try to get better and work on the things that he was being coached on. But overall, I feel like he handled camp well, and I'm excited to see him for the season. I really am.
There's a lot of people that and a lot of the focus was on, okay, Sean's not just giving this to Bo like the Bears did with Caleb. They just gave him the starting job. And a big reason for that was Sean wanted him to win over the locker room and show the vets that he wasn't given this, that he earned it. How did he go out there and do that?
Well, I mean, just his dedication day in and day out. He doesn't make many mistakes. And for, the quarterback that we had last year, I think that was the biggest hiccup with Sean and the offense, is that there was too many sacks, too many mental errors, and that's just not who Bo is. He makes, good reads, and if it's not there, he uses his legs to extend plays, and that's something that the Broncos haven't had at quarterback. I think even since I'm there, that wasn't Payton. Payton was the guy that was going to pick you apart, but if the play was breaking down, he wasn't about to scramble and, launch it 50 yards. So this is something that the Broncos haven't had in a long time, and I'm excited for, it to happen.
What do you think his weakness is?
The only weakness right now is just time. I think he just hasn't had much time as an NFL quarterback. But besides that, he has all the traits. He's smart enough to be a very, very good quarterback. He can get the ball where he needs to be. He doesn't miss reads a lot of times. If the guy is open, he's going to give him the ball. I think the only weakness is he's just a rookie, and that's just something that only time is going to be able to really help with.
Better than Penix?
I haven't seen Penix up close. So I think he's the best quarterback I've seen in the last month.
There we go. There we go.
And so saying that, when did it become obvious to you, or kind of the collective inside the building, that okay, yep, even though he is a rookie and that he doesn't have any NFL experience, where Zach Wilson has 31 games and obviously Jarrett Stidham started the final 2 last year, where it became obvious, okay, he's the week 1 starter?
I think it was very early on. I think even going into the internship, I kind of felt like it was, Bo's job to lose. And I thought he had to play pretty bad in order for, Stidham to kind of take it. Or Stidham would have to just play outrageously well for him to take it. I felt like it was his kind of from the start, and it just kind of always felt that way. Even on days when he was a 2 and somebody else was the 1, it still felt like, he was the guy kind of moving the ship, and everybody wanted to see how he was doing that day, as opposed to any other person, no matter who was taking on 1 reps or the 3 reps.
And I thought Stidham played well, too. I think in the preseason games, he kind of got unlucky. His teammates didn't really help him out with the penalties, and Samaje giving the interception to the other team. But I thought in camp, Stidham was really solid, maybe even better than I expected. It just didn't matter because Bo was so good.
Yeah, and it's tough because how do you quantify that? If the guy's on the field and just good things happen, it just feels like, you know what I'm saying? Some of that stuff wasn't Stidham's fault. But it's like this other guy keeps coming on the field and good things just keep happening. It's hard to take him off the field.
Yep.
It almost felt like, man, do his teammates not want Jarrett Stidham? Now, obviously, that's not the case. Mike McGlinchey's not jumping, having a false start, and Garrett Bowles isn't holding just to screw over Jarrett Stidham.
No.
But it did feel like, man, he just keeps getting all the wrong breaks, and then Bo just keeps leading the team to scoring drives. He played in 2 games, had 7 possessions, 6 of them went for scores. The one that wasn't was a Lucas Kroll fumble. That's everything that Sean wanted to see, I have to imagine. Of course, there's little things. From game 1 to game 2, Sean wanted to see his footwork improve. His footwork improved from game 1 to game 2. But at the end of the day, Sean kept pointing back to it and just said, the number one thing for a quarterback is to lead your team down there and score points. And that is what Bo Nix did. So kind of to ask Henry's question a different way, did your opinions of Bo change from when they drafted him and kind of being on the outside looking in of who Bo is with this team to them being around him for a month? Did your opinions change of who he is?
No, I think he's very steady Eddie, even Stevens. Like what you see is what you get. What you know for him to be in college as a high completion percentage, get the ball out of his hands quickly, smart quarterback, grounded, has a family, and has a wife. He's made like he's not going out to the club every night. But like that's who he is. So it's good to see what you see is what you get, and what you expect from Bo Nix is who he's going to be, and that's a very steady, high completion percentage quarterback.
Yep, and that's what the Broncos get with him. And we are 13 days away, as you can see on the top left of our screen if you're watching on YouTube. 13 days, 3 hours and 24 minutes away from kickoff in Seattle. And a big question that I think you start with is when you build this 53-man roster, are the Broncos keeping 3 quarterbacks? Are they keeping 2 quarterbacks? And if they only keep 2, is it Stidham or is it Zach Wilson? After Zach Wilson went out and had a really impressive game yesterday, the Broncos averaged 33 points per game this preseason. Sean has to be absolutely thrilled with that. Let's dive into this question after I give a shout out to our friends over at UC Health, where they've got the UC Health Ready, Set, Co challenge that they've got going on with Coach Prime, where he wants you to live your healthiest life in Colorado and get Colorado back to its rightful place as the healthiest state in the U.S. And Coach Prime is their chief motivation officer. If anyone can motivate, it's Coach Prime, and he wants to help you out with nutrition, where nutrition is very important. Coach Prime says it's all about balance in the belly, which means you don't have to go on some crazy strict diet. Just daily choices will help you do that trick. So if you want to sign up, go to uchealth.org/readysetco. That's uchealth.org/readysetco. It's a statewide challenge to help all Coloradans be their healthiest selves, and it's centered around getting Colorado back for its rightful place as the healthiest state. It's all about balance and what you eat. Make smart choices every single day. That can be small. So you can go to uchealth.org/readysetco to sign up, or you can click the show notes in our description to get more information.
And shout out to Indeed. This is kind of a sad part of the year with Cut Down Day, but if you're an employer, this could be a big week over at Indeed. Indeed's awesome. They've got a whole bunch of perks for people who are trying to hire new employees. They've got over 350 million global monthly visitors. That's according to Indeed's data. And they have a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. So you don't have to do the busy work. You can use Indeed for the scheduling and the screening and the messaging. You connect with candidates faster. Indeed doesn't just help you to hire faster. 93% of employers agree that Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Speaking of supporting our show, hit us with a thumbs up. Show Todd that you're happy that he's back. The Toyota chat has been blowing up with support for Todd being back, but hit us with a thumbs up. We appreciate it. Okay, so Todd, answer this question for me. Fill in the blank. The Broncos will keep blank number of quarterbacks.
Oh, man, this is tough. I'm going to say the Broncos keep 2 quarterbacks.
Oh.
But I can't say who, because it's 2 different scenarios, I think, why you keep either one of them. Like,
Okay.
I think Stidham understands the playbook a little bit better. So if anything was happening, there was a short-term relief that you needed for Bo, I think Stidham's the man for the job. But long-term, I think Wilson is a very talented quarterback. I think he has still time to understand the playbook. Sean's playbook is very intricate. But I think there's times when we watch practice, I think day in and day out, we're like, oh my gosh, look at this throw. Oh my gosh, do you see like the way he, like the flick of the wrist right here? Like he just is very talented as far as throwing the football. So I think he has a lot of upside. It's just about learning the playbook and being able to master Sean's offense. And what you saw last Sunday is that he's starting to get it. He's making some good plays. Can he do it, for a long period of time?
So then which route do you think they go?
Oh, man. Putting pressure on me.
Or how do you think they go about deciding which route to go?
I think whoever is getting more like calls, whatever team is calling and like, hey, is this guy available for a trade? Whichever guy that may be, I think that's the guy who doesn't make the team. I think it's going to be based on whoever knows the playbook, yes, but ultimately, like, out there in the market, who's getting the best bang for your buck to make the Broncos a better team overall. Because neither one of these guys, I think, is going to be our long-term solution. So it's about, you know, who could be a good backup to Bo now, but then also who can get us more capital so that we could be the best team in 2 or 3 years from now.
So a trade would happen with the other one. It wouldn't be a cut.
Possibly, yes. I think a trade.
And Todd, that's exactly what I said after the show last night, or after the game last night, because I think Sean is being a little too obvious about keeping all three on the roster. And when he's a little too obvious, remember who he really loved in the draft process publicly? It was J.J. McCarthy. There's a little smoke screen there. Let's hear from Sean last night talking about if the team is going to keep all three quarterbacks. There's 2 questions in here. In the first one, Sean was asked, will finances play a role in deciding which quarterbacks you keep on this roster, and if you keep all three? Then he was asked, well, are you going to keep all three? So let's hear from Sean, and keep your ears open to what he says.
What did Zach do well today in your mind, and will finances play a role in all the decision with the quarterback?
No, I just heard it on the radio. We're not. No, we've got enough money to. I understand the question. We feel comfortable with those 3 quarterbacks. I think I've told you already. I see the 3 of them making it. All right. So. All right. Back to the first question. Look, we had some impressive throws. The one shot play, you know, in the hole to Brandon, and then, I mean, he's got a live arm down the field. I thought he threw it away when it wasn't there. There were a couple sacks, but overall, we moved the ball. You're trying to measure, hey, how's the offense doing when he's in there? Man, plenty of time on the play clock, enough time to get in and out of plays if we need be, and I think, you know, he's had the better part of the last 2.5 weeks, really. I mean, you guys have seen his practices.
That's pretty straightforward. I've told you guys before, we're keeping all 3. Well, one, you haven't told us that before. That's why we keep asking the question if you're keeping all 3. But then he came out and was just so honest that I'm like, that might be a message to teams around the NFL. Like, oh, no, you're not going to be able to pick up Jarrett Stidham off waivers because we're going to keep him. If you want him, you got to give us a ring. Same exact thing with Zach Wilson. And I just got a little, I just thought that was too honest of him, of like, oh no, you're going to have to come trade for one of these guys. So Todd, from being on the outside looking in, I feel the exact same way as you. I think they are going to try to shop one of these guys. And if I had to guess, I mean, you hear him talk about Zach. I think he gets a little sparkle in his eye when he talks about Zach Wilson. I think it'd be more Jarrett Stidham that he's trying to trade.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. It'll be. I do believe what he said, though. It's not about the money. I don't think either one of these guys are breaking the bank to where you're like, hey, I got to save $5 million to get one. Like, in the grand scheme of things, $5 million is not a lot of money. You know,
I disagree.
In the NFL world. So I just don't think. I don't think finances, like he said, I don't think finance is going to play a hand in hand. And it has to be something more tangible, like draft capital, something like that really moves the needle if they're going to get rid of one of these guys.
Yeah, I think they're keeping all 3. I think they'd love to trade one of those 2. I just don't think there's going to be anybody lining up to try to give you anything for Jarrett Stidham and to pay him $5 million. I think Zach Wilson, you flipped his 6th round pick for a 7th round pick to get him.
No, it was a 7th for a 7th.
Was it? It was a 7th for a 7th.
Yep.
I don't think his value has changed so much in the past 4 months that you're actually going to be able to get more. So I think they'd really like to trade him, and I think they're going to try really hard to make a trade. I just don't think the trade's actually going to come through, and I think they're going to wind up being pretty happy to have all 3.
And see, I understand what you're saying, but then I look at a team that was in here last week, the Green Bay Packers. We saw their backup quarterback situation in joint practice, and we saw it in the game.
Yeah.
And then we heard Matt LaFleur be just so pissed off about how poorly his team played, specifically the backups. Jarrett Stidham's got to sound great for them. And especially like, I don't hope Jordan Love gets hurt, but they view themselves as a playoff team. What happens if Jordan Love goes out for 2 games and they need a backup to come in and not save the day, but steady the ship? Jarrett Stidham is so much better than their backup situation, in my opinion. And Todd, from the feelings I'm getting for you too, like I feel like Jarrett Stidham isn't a team's not going to go out and trade a second-round pick to have Jarrett Stidham be their starter, but a playoff team might say like, oh God, we really need to upgrade our backup quarterback situation. And Jarrett Stidham is a good backup quarterback, I think. No, am I stretching too far here?
No, I think he's a good backup quarterback. I think he's a solid quarterback. I think he can still play and start in the NFL. Maybe not as a Bronco because of who we drafted and his potential, but I definitely think he still can be a starter on a team in this league. But like you said, man, the Green Bay Packers, if anything happens to Jordan Love, they can just pack it up, try again next year because it's over.
Yes. And how much better do you think they would feel?
A lot better.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, either one of those guys, I think they would have a better team and a much better quarterback. Like, he don't even have to look at the playbook. Just go out there and throw the football, and he'd be better than the backups at Green Bay right now.
Just don't turn the ball over. Now, there also is one really dirty side of the business, which unfortunately, Todd, like if you're a player in the NFL, you get to experience it, or a lot of people have to experience it, unfortunately. And the dirty side is Jarrett Stidham has a $7 million cap hit this year, $2 million of dead money. The Broncos could save $5 million by moving on from him. And I agree with you, and I agree with Sean, that finances aren't going to be the deciding factor. What the Broncos could do is they could go to Jarrett Stidham and say, we really want to keep you on the roster, but you're probably not going to make more than $4 million on the open market right now. So why don't we just cut you down to $4 million this year, make it all guaranteed, so there's a little incentive for you. But instead of the $7 million cap, let's bring that down to $3 or $4 million. That personally would not shock me at all if the Broncos do that, because teams, even if it's not about finances, they would love to save $3 or $4 million if they could. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're not able to trade Stidham and they want to keep Zach Wilson, they keep all three. That's how they keep all three, is it comes in the form of a pay cut for Zach or for Jarrett.
If they go to all that effort to try to save $1 million, I'm going to be a little bit upset.
3 or 4.
Well, the thing is, I think that he's getting more than that if he becomes a free agent. I think if you cut him and he goes and signs with another team, he's probably going to get at least like $4 million. That's just kind of the going rate for backup quarterback.
Right now, though, like that's the going rate in March. I don't know if that's the going rate right now.
It just depends on if there's competition for him. If there are multiple teams that want him, he's going to pretty easily get at least $3 or $4 million. And I think, again, like $1 million, $2 million, $3 million to an NFL team, it's not that big of a deal. And bringing somebody in and saying like, hey, we can't give you all this money, like it's just a bad move.
Yeah, I just see it time and time again in the NFL. It's a business, and so I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. So your final guess, Todd, what happens? Who are the 2 quarterbacks or 3 on the roster?
Dang, you're really trying to make me give you an answer.
Because we're building this 53-man roster now, and it starts with the quarterback position.
So let's just say they keep 2. They take Bo Nix, and this is tough. I feel like out of the 2 quarterbacks, the one you need as a backup, in my opinion, would be Jarrett Stidham. Mm-hmm. That's who you need as a backup. Somebody who feels like they could still be a starter, but also understands their role and has been a backup, and is hopefully not going to challenge the starter every day and make him feel like he's coming for his spot. Like, that's not what they need on the team. So I would probably say Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham.
Okay. And then they cut Zach? He's on the practice squad?
I think they would try to get him to the practice squad. If there's not a big trademark, I think they would try to get him to the practice squad.
Because he would have to clear waivers. If you do it with Stidham doesn't have to clear waivers.
But then he's getting picked up somewhere.
I mean, either one of them, right?
I don't think Stidham's making it to the practice squad.
I don't know how many suitors there were for Wilson before he got traded. So I think that even though he's had a little bit of success, I think he still potentially could make it to the practice squad. So I think that's how they keep all 3. Because I think the reason why I say they keep 2 is not because there's this huge divide between Jarrett Stidham or Wilson. I think there's just so many other positions. Like, okay, we got to talk about wide receiver. There's a lot of wide receivers, and we got to make some tough decisions there. Is it easier to have one extra spot that's not a quarterback or not? Like, there's just so many different positions on the board. Running back, what are we going to do? Do we keep 2? Do we keep 3? Like, I think there's too many other positions where they have some depth to kind of not like waste one at quarterback, but use an extra one, to keep a quarterback on.
But isn't it worth it? Because quarterback's the most important position. And like you said, like these two guys are so different. I totally agree. If I need someone to come and steady the ship for a quarter or 2 games, especially early in the season, I feel a lot more comfortable, and I think Sean does, with Jarrett Stidham. He's not going to completely blow things up. But if let's say Bo is out for 8 games, I'm touching wood there. If Bo's out for 8 games, you probably want to see what Zach has because he's got that super high ceiling and also super low floor. We saw him go out and throw 251 yards yesterday, 22 yards on the ground, 3 total touchdowns. It was incredible. The highs were super high, but there were also 3 plays that could have easily turned into turnovers. And then you're talking about, like, Broncos aren't scoring 38 points. It might be a close game in that respect if those turnovers end up happening. And they might end up in turnovers if you're going up against the starters. So I agree that there's 2 different things there. And so when push comes to shove for me, I'm keeping all 3. But Todd, the fact you're saying 2, I might have to lean 2 because I do know how much general managers and head coaches value every single spot at depth on a team.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that just like you mentioned with Zach Wilson, he has high highs and then he has some low lows. I think that it just needs to be a little bit more even keeled to truly be a great backup quarterback and then like work to be a starter again. And I think that a year on practice squad could do that for him. And that would be really beneficial for him to be able to have kind of like no pressure, no stress, but you're learning the playbook, you're getting back your confidence, you're remembering how to work the ball downfield, and then also being able to hit on the underneath routes that you kind of struggled with when you were at the Jets. Like all that is coming back to you while being able to learn under one of the greatest offensive coordinators, in the National Football League. I think that's a great situation to be in for him and the organization if they can pull it off.
Yeah. So Joe Lombardi's one of the best offensive coordinators in the NFL?
Yeah. You know who's the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, of course. I know who the play caller is, Sean. Okay, so what are we doing? Are we keeping 2 or are we keeping 3?
I still vote 3.
Man, I would vote 3 too, but even if it's a tie, I feel like we lean toward
If you want, I'm
Todd
not
said.
going to be upset.
I don't know.
That's whatever you guys want to do. You know what I'm saying? It's my first day back. I'm not rocking the boat.
This is the worst place to be before we start the show. I'm like, okay, it's 2 against 1 here on these decisions, but, might have to give Todd the tiebreaker, and now we're split on that. I'll let you guys decide. When I give a shout out to our friends over at Premier Members Credit Union, did you know that most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck right now? And if you're one of them, you got to check out Premier Members Credit Union. They're a financial institution based right here in Colorado. With Premier Members Credit Union, you get local branches, friendly tellers, and the tools you need to save smarter, like a reverse tier money market. It's the account you need to get ahead and stay ahead in this economy. This is an organization that serves the community and the Colorado community in particular. Whether your goals or whatever your goals are, they can help. Premier Members Credit Union is all about creating a better banking experience for their community. So why not see what they can do for you? Check out becomepremier.com to learn more. That's becomepremier.com to learn more.
Also, I had a big day today. I actually for a couple of reasons, but the one that's relevant.
It's only 11 a.m.
I know.
Wow.
It's been very busy. I made my first bets on the NDSU Colorado game this morning because it's game week.
Are you confident in revealing what the bets were?
9.5 points is just too many.
Wow.
I took North Dakota State. I also took the money line at plus 280.
Oh, really? I see you.
3-1 odds on them to win that game. It just feels like it's too high. So hopefully it doesn't bite me in the, or hopefully it does bite me in the ass.
Yeah.
But
did you check that NDSU is missing like 7 starters already?
Oh,
due to injuries?
It's not 7. Yeah, they've got their safeties hurt, their fullbacks hurt.
No, there's more. I was on the Buffs pod the other day.
I promise you, I know more. No, I'm on Reddit every day. No, there are more, but those are the big ones. But yeah, typically like losing a fullback, not that big of a deal. When it's North Dakota State, it's a pretty big deal.
Huge deal.
But yeah, so I made those bets. I'm not super confident, but I feel like those numbers are just too big. So if you want to join me, you can head over to Bet365. Use the code DNVR365 to sign up. Deposit $10, and you can choose between either a A bet of $5 or more and get $150 in bonus bets, or a first bet safety net offer by placing a bet up to $1,000. If that qualifying bet loses, you get a matched refund in bonus bets. I'm also going to add, I'm also taking South Dakota State to beat Oklahoma State.
Oh, wow.
So hopefully all the CU fans will feel better about that. But
You're an underdog, Hank.
you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or somebody you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
I mean, this is a huge week. Not only do we get Todd back, not only we do a drop a shirt, not only do we have a new market in the All-City Network, Cut Day is tomorrow, which is a really tough day, but we're going to be going live to break everything down with the cuts. And then football is back this week. Like Henry said, Thursday night kicks off CU season. And then we got a full slate of games the rest of the weekend. So I am so pumped. All right, guys, what'd you decide? 2 or 3 quarterbacks?
Rock, paper, scissors.
No, Zach, you decide. You're the tiebreaker.
I told you guys.
You
One
can't just
shot.
not
Rock, paper,
vote.
scissors.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock,
Oh,
paper,
my
scissors,
goodness.
shoot.
3 quarterbacks.
Three quarterbacks.
quarterbacks.
They're all staying. Todd, do you think that's how George and Sean will decide if they're
Pretty
keeping
much.
3
I think so.
quarterbacks?
Hey, rock, paper, scissors. I mean, you can't go wrong.
That's true.
All right, so let's build this roster. 3 quarterbacks. Excited to see what Todd says about these other positions. Let's stick on the offensive side of the ball. Let's build the offense first, and let's go with the position behind quarterback. Let's go with running back. Todd, tell me if I'm off on locks here. I'm going Javante's a lock, Jaleel's a lock, and Estime's a lock.
Yep.
Am I wrong saying Estime's a lock?
Nope.
Anyone else I should include with locks from either of you two guys?
Nope. I think there's the
I
3
think
locks.
that's the 3.
Okay, 3. Is
Yep.
that it? Or will they add a Samaje Perine, who didn't dress yesterday, but I think that's because they know what he is. Samaje wasn't going to be able to do anything yesterday that changes their mind. Blake Watson played yesterday, and of course you also saw Tyler Batty, who has had a great offseason training camp and preseason as well. Do one of those guys or 2 of those guys make it? What do we think?
It depends on how the rest of the roster shakes out. Like, I kind of think we start with like the 3, and then we can come back at the end and see like, okay, we can take Samaje or Lil Jordan Humphrey or kind of see where things shake out. As of now, I say probably no. As much as I really think you're losing something if you don't have Samaje on the team, I just can't justify it knowing how many tough decisions are going to come after running backs.
That's fair. Samaje, Todd.
I think Samaje is a good back, and he's great. In third down, he really shows like how important he is, like in the pass protection, and then being able to get out and make plays in the passing game. You know, those little dump offs worked so well last year. Unfortunately, I just feel like with Javante and Jaleel and Estime, I think you're already trying to figure out how to get everybody touches. Like you want Javante to get, you know, his carry so he can get back to himself. You want Jaleel to get his because you've seen what he's done and he's so dynamic when he has the ball in his hands. But you also want Estime to get some touches because he's a young buck. You want him to feel comfortable, see how good he is, maybe short yardage, you know, third down, goal line type deals. I don't see where you throw another back in there, even if it is third down. I think you try to find a way to make Estimate, you know, should be a pretty good blocker. He's solid. And I think Javante is a solid blocker himself. So I think that, you know, keeping too many bodies just makes it hard for everybody to get the plays they need to get in the rhythm and, you know, be their best.
Is Estime the biggest running back outside of Derrick Henry you've seen?
No. But he's big. Pause.
Oh, we were due for that.
Timeout.
I know. I wanted to get like a montage of all the things Zach said while you were
I
gone
didn't say anything.
that needed
Just
a pause.
craziness. Yeah.
But that's
I
just
bet
too
it was a
much
lot.
work.
The thing
Yeah.
about him, though, I think he's like bigger upper body than he is lower body. And so I think that's why he can still make some good cuts. Like he makes cuts similar to a smaller back because his legs aren't like giant, but his upper body is, you know what I'm saying?
Best of both worlds?
Yeah, I guess you could say that, yeah.
I like
And
that.
I think he had his best preseason game by far yesterday. Because those first couple, like he did the Audric Estime thing where it's like you push forward and you fall forward, but he didn't really break any tackles or make anybody miss. Yesterday, for the first time, he actually made somebody miss or like kind of got a tackler off him and was able to keep going, which is a good sign.
Yeah.
I still think you lose Samaje. He's the only guy I really trust to protect and to find space when he releases into a route. And I think with a young quarterback, moving on from him is really risky. But just given the other guys you have and the numbers situation, I I don't think you can keep him.
Boom. So we're going with 3 running backs. That leads to fullback. Do they keep Mike Burton as a traditional fullback, or do they try to use a tight end as a fullback? Maybe keep Nate Atkins to be a hybrid tight end fullback. I personally would go that they do keep Mike Burton. You've seen Sean Payton, I think, every single year keep a traditional fullback. I don't think that changes this year.
No, he's on the team.
Yeah, he's on the team.
Yeah.
Mike Burton, there you go. You're a lock. Let's go to tight end now. Tell me if I'm wrong on any of these guys being a lock. Greg Dulcich?
He's a lock, yep.
That's actually where I'm going to draw the line in terms of locks.
Oh, wow.
I do think Troutman makes it, and I do think that Kroll makes it. Wouldn't say like for sure locks, but I would say those 3. Am I wrong on any of those?
No, I would agree. I would agree with you there. I would only push I would make for Nate is just special teams.
Yeah.
Just because of what Burton can do, I think he's primarily a special teams guy, and then plays a little bit of fullback. That's why he makes the team every year. Not saying he's not a good fullback, but he really shows his importance on special teams. I think the same thing is true for Nate. So it's always like, do you keep 4 tight ends or do you keep 5 linebackers? It all depends on how that 5th or 4th guy plays on special teams.
Well,
And I've said this before. I'd have Dulcich as my number 1 and Adkins at number 2. Like
I wouldn't go that far, but
yeah, I know you wouldn't. I know, but he blocks so much better than any of the other tight ends. Like, as much as it's exciting to see Lucas Kroll when he connects on a block, he just misses way too many of them.
So then if that's the case, Henry, I'd make the argument that just move on from Troutman. Save money there, move on from him, and then keep those 3.
I think there's a case to be made. I also think this is a position where it's just so easy to keep 4. And honestly, Kroll would maybe be the one I'd try to get to the practice squad. Although there have been a couple tight ends who've been claimed off of waivers in the last couple years. I have all 4 making it, and honestly, I have all 4 making it pretty easily on mine.
Wow, Todd, do you think they keep 4, or do you think they keep 3? Right now, I'd go 3. So you're the tiebreaker.
No, I go 3 too,
All right.
because I think there's a situation at linebacker happening.
Oh,
I think there's the
or maybe
situation there also.
So I think they have to be
okay, I
fine.
like that. Okay, let's go with 3, and it's Adkins not making it, right? Or is it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
I
Then
think
I'm saying that reluctantly. I'm just putting
and
that
I think
out
that
there.
shows
Wow.
that is a tough decision that they have to make. Okay, let's go to the big boys on the offensive line. So, of course, the starting 5 is set. You got Garrett Bowles. You've got Ben Powers. You've got Quinn Miners. You've got Mike McGlinchey. And then isn't it pretty clear that the starting center is Luke Wattenberg?
It is. I mean, he started every time we've seen him. I wouldn't say it's gone great for him, but it's gone well enough. I think, yeah, I mean, the starting 5, I think, is set.
I think it's set.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's your starting 5. And then what do you do at depth here? Obviously losing Quinn Bailey, and Todd, that happened early in preseason
Yeah,
where he
that
went
was-
down. And were you? Yeah.
I was right. I was like,
I know.
yeah.
You were one of the guys that ran away
Oh
right
my
when it happened
gosh.
because it was brutal.
That was
Yeah,
tough.
it was rough. Yeah, that was bad.
You saw the ankle
Hope he's
sticking
doing
the
good.
wrong way.
Yeah, luckily he wasn't didn't break everything in there. So
Yeah.
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 And it was brutal for him, but also brutal for team construction because he was a guy that could play 4 positions, and he was probably your backup left tackle, left guard, and right tackle.
he was making the team for sure.
Yeah, and you lose him, and now maybe you have to have 2 guys to replace him because now you need a backup tackle and a backup guard. So what's the backup situation looking like here?
Well, you need a backup center for sure. And they've given Alex Forsythe every opportunity to have that job. He's really, really, really struggled, though. I mean, he had penalties in the first 2 games. He got beat for a sack last night. I haven't seen the all 22, but
It was a bad sack.
I have a tough time not saying Sam Mustafer's been better. At the same time, when Mustafer's been with the 3s and Forsythe's been with the 2s all the way through, you kind of have to read something into that. So I could go either way with those 2 guys. To me, Throckmorton's on the team.
Heck yeah.
He's the backup guard.
There we go. Let's add Throckmorton there.
Palshevsky and Peart are the 2 tackles. I think Palshevsky's got to be on the team. Peart, you probably have to have on the team, but he hasn't been all that good. I just think that, if you need a backup left tackle, he's your backup left tackle. Palshevsky's only played on the right side. So I'm struggling with the Peart decision and with the backup center, which one to choose.
How do you make that decision, Todd?
I really like Demontre. I think he's a good player.
I know. I think so too.
And he's big as hell. Pause again. And he kills it in one-on-ones every single day. I think he does solid in the games. I think he needs more reps. I think he's a solid player. So I would make him our backup tackle.
Above who? Parrott?
Pert? Yeah. Parrott. And then center, I think we're in a tough spot.
I think so too.
I think you just need a versatile player that can play center and guard.
And I just wonder.
So is that Forsyth then? Because that's one of the things Sean kept talking about was they really saw his versatility at center and guard.
He's a young player, and I think he's going to get better. And I think that maybe next year that's a good situation. What I saw is that he can't really play center or guard. Which, and again, like I really like him as a prospect, but he had a tough preseason. And he was still number 2 in front of Sam Mustipher the entire way. So what does that tell you? But this is probably where you're looking at waivers. Might as well throw these numbers out. 56 waiver claims after cutdown day over the last 2 years across the NFL. 19 of them were DBs. 14 of them were offensive linemen. And then linebackers, defensive line, you have a couple, and basically nothing else. So offensive line, first of all, this is where if you cut somebody, they could get claimed. It's also a spot where the Broncos might be watching the waiver wire because the depth really has not been great.
Yeah.
Outside of Throckmorton, who I think has been solid.
I think he's been solid.
But for this first 53.
I'm going to let you guys make this because I know I was at camp for the last month. This was the one position I was not worried about. I was not focused on. So
All right, Henry, what are we doing?
Let's give it to Forsyth.
Okay.
And then Palshevsky, do we already have him?
Nope, we're adding him right now.
And then I think we just leave it at that and say...
So 8?
Yep. And Demontre Jacobs, you probably get him to the practice squad.
Okay, there we go.
If not, Parrott, you probably... One of those two you do, and that's your backup left tackle if you need to call somebody up.
All right, I like it. Now let's go to wide receiver.
I think Demontre makes it, though, just saying.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. He's been good.
He's been solid.
He's been good.
Let's add him. The insider just threw Demontre Jacobs on there. Let's add him too. Okay, wide receiver. Court's a lock.
Yep.
Let's see.
Josh
Reynolds is a lock. Yep. I would go Devon Vele's a lock.
Yep.
You agree with that?
Yep.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Mims is a lock.
Marvin Mims is a lock. Tim Patrick a lock.
Yeah, let's throw Tim in there.
Let's throw Tim in there. So that's 5. That's probably where I would draw the line at locks. Now, I would probably put Troy Franklin in there as well.
Yep.
I wouldn't say lock, though.
I'd say lock.
Okay, you'd say lock. Would you say lock, Todd?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 6.
Because they can't get him to the practice squad.
No.
So he has to
being
be
a 4th round pick.
Yep.
Yeah, they're not getting him to the practice squad.
Okay, that's 6.
Yep.
Are we adding any more, or is that it?
I think that's the group.
I think that's the group also. And it sucks because I think Lil Jordan Humphrey he had a great camp.
Oh, I mean,
but like the numbers wise, there just isn't room for anybody else.
in my eyes, there's 4 guys that deserve to make the roster from the receiver spot. Like you mentioned, Little Jordan had a really good camp. Brandon Johnson had a really good camp, including that incredible catch in the game last night.
Yep.
And we know he can produce. Had the second most receiving touchdowns on the Broncos last year. And then David Sills and Michael Bandy were the most productive receivers the Broncos had in training camp. But you're not going to keep 10 guys. So hopefully those guys land on the practice squad for the Broncos. But Devon Vele, yep, exactly. So there's the 6. Boom.
With Lil Jordan, he doesn't have to clear waivers. And so you can sign him to the practice squad just like last year. And so that really shouldn't be an issue.
So what are we looking at numbers-wise after going through the offense? Where are we at, you hear?
We're at number 25.
So 25 roster spots. That's pretty good right there. Let's flip over to the defensive side of the ball. Maybe Todd's expertise here. And you said there was something going on at linebacker, Todd. What is it?
I just think that there's a young player playing his balls off right now that you're not going to be able to get to the practice squad.
I agree.
Mr. Pick 6?
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Sacramento.
Yeah.
No, I think LB is, man, he's doing everything that they needed him to do. And I think that a lot was put on his plate, playing 2 positions early on in camp. But I think he's, finding his way. He's making some plays.
So you told us a little bit about that before the show. So he was balling out, and then they tried to put a little bit more on his plate, and maybe that hurt the production.
Well, he just, anytime you're a young player trying to learn like 2 positions, it's like it's kind of tough because you got to go in there and understand rules for like both sides of the formation instead of just being able to hone in on one because you're getting so many different plays. I mean, they put in like 90 plays in training camp, so trying to understand both positions at 90, like it just makes it a little tough. And I felt like they kind of honed him down to play one position. I think it's actually like made him kind of like speed up his process because he's smart, he gets it, he understands it, and I think he's just now making more and more plays.
And so you think it's worth it to keep 5 there?
And what you see on special teams, I think he made 3 or 4 tackles on kickoff alone in the preseason. And as you know, on special teams, especially in the preseason, you're not playing the entire game. So he may play a half, each game. So that's 3 halves of football. He's already made 4 tackles. Like he's producing.
Yeah.
So I think that he could be an asset on special teams as well.
And to me, so he was one of your big undrafted free agents coming into camp. Like if somebody's going to make the team, he was one of the handful that were most likely. I thought he had a good camp. Didn't make a lot of plays though, a lot of loud plays. That continued into the preseason. And so I thought maybe you could slip him through to the practice squad. As soon as he makes that interception, NFL teams see this rookie had a 94-yard pick six. Every single team in the NFL is going to be going back and watching the tape now. Whereas before, maybe it was only a handful, maybe it was half, who knows. I just don't think you can risk losing him to the practice squad or losing him to waivers when you could just keep him on the team. I had Jonas Griffith out when I made the roster last night just because, again, it's the numbers game, and you've got to make a tough cut somewhere. He was the toughest cut on the roster, but when you've got Griffith, Sternad, and Cody Barton to play alongside Alex Singleton, I just think that if you're keeping Lavelle Bailey, it's going to be tough to keep all 3 of those guys, and I had Griffith on the outside looking in. I'm not sold on that, and I think more likely than not he is on the team, but just when I went through, that was just the final domino that had to fall, and it sucked losing him.
I think Jonas is on the team, but I do think it's clear Cody Barton is the Broncos starting at inside linebacker next to Alex Singleton. Justin Sternad, what a game he had yesterday.
Yep.
What a hit he delivered to force that fumble. He was a monster. So I don't think Lavelle Bailey's personally going to make the team, but you guys do, so let's have him on there. Now, Todd, you help us. Are they going to be 5? Does Jonas make the team?
I think because we didn't include Nate, right?
Atkins?
Yeah.
No.
I think Jonas has to make the team if he's going to, because we need one more special teams guy.
There we go. So we're going 5 inside.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so there you go. There's the 5 inside.
Yeah.
Let's look at outside now. Baron Browning, a lock.
Yes.
Nick Bonito, a lock.
Yes.
Jonathan Cooper, a lock.
Yes.
And Jonah Ellis, definitely a lock.
That kid's a monster.
Yeah.
Man.
Yep.
He's
You
a
want to
beast.
tell us about him?
He's exactly what you want as a football player. Like, just hard-nosed, works hard, and just makes plays. It's kind of just stuff you can't – he does the stuff you can't really teach, and kind of like you want – sounds crazy, but I don't know what else to say. You want guys to be able to feel what it feels like to make that play. Like, you can't coach a guy like when to slip inside when he has outside contain, because if he does slip inside and it bounces, then –
You screwed up.
You screwed up and you've made the wrong play. But the guy that can just crush down the outside so well and then slip inside and make the play and everything's all right, like that's stuff you don't want to, you can't teach, but you're so happy when it happens. And I think he just makes plays like that over and over and over again.
So
And he does such a good job in coverage too.
Yeah.
Like there's so many times he just drops into that flat zone and you're like, wait, how's he making that play? There was one day they were running one-on-ones and he was covering Greg Dulcich 30 yards downfield.
And locked him up.
Yeah, and you're just like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
He can cover Greg Dulcich. So he's only 21, and that's the most exciting part. He had the shoulder injury, so we still haven't seen the best of him, you wouldn't think. He's a really, really, really exciting young player.
Heck yeah.
And what you're talking about, Todd, is instincts and football IQ.
For sure.
Yep.
For sure.
So I totally agree. He is a baller. Anyone else, or is that it? Is it pretty clear that it's going to be 4 outside backers, and those are the 4?
I think there have been 3 other guys who've looked really, really good at various times, but I don't think any of them have to make the roster.
There we go. So 4. All right, defensive line. You've got, of course, Zach Allen,
Yep.
Jonathan Franklin Myers,
Yep.
DJ Jones,
Yep.
Malcolm Roach.
Yep.
Those are the locks that I would say.
I'd throw Angelo Blackson in as a lock.
He's a lock?
He's been. I'm curious what Todd thinks, but I mean, he's been their number 5 basically all the way through. He was making plays again yesterday, and I think Jordan Jackson is the other one who. I think there's a pretty clear-cut 6 at this moment. And I like Elijah Garcia and I like Matt Henningsen, but those are probably more practice squad candidates at this point.
I think that the conversation is going to be between AB and Jordan Jackson. I think
Okay.
I think that Matt Henningsen early on was the favorite, but I think that especially after Sunday, I think Jordan Jackson came out and played a hell of a football game. And I think that's what they need on the D line is kind of the guy that can do it all. I think if you look at the D line is made up of guys who do a lot of things well. And I think adding him to the mix, I mean, just one more guy that can kind of do it all.
And he looks so explosive.
Yeah, I think Franklin Myers can do it all. DJ Jones can do it all. Zach Allen can do it all. They're not just that. I think Roach is the best. Is one of the guys who has a better run game than pass game. But everybody else is kind of balanced. They just do it all well. And I think that it makes sense to add another guy who's like that to the roster.
Yeah.
And you just can't put Uwazurike on. As much as he is so big and so talented, and he even had his moments in training camp when he came back, like he just, given what you've seen from the other guys, I just don't know how you justify it.
Yeah, I think they try to make him get to the practice squad. I don't know if they can.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because he's, solid size and talented and had some time away from football, and then he's going to need time to get back to himself. So they can find a way to like keep him, stash him, hide him. I don't know what they can do, but like he's talented. He just needs time.
Maybe like put him in a room.
Hey, I don't know. I don't know.
Give him the Todd Davis treatment.
Right now I have Myers, Allen, Jones, Roach, 12.
Jones, Roach, Jordan Jackson, and
Angelo Blackson.
is that what we're going with?
You said Myers?
Franklin
John
Myers.
Oh,
Franklin.
yeah. I'm like, nobody calls him Myers. I was like, who?
Are we just going 5, or are we going Angelo Blackson to make it 6, or Matt Henningsen?
I think Blackson makes it, but I mean, the case I guess for Blackson to not make it would be that Jordan Jackson passed him yesterday, because I think Blackson's probably been in front of him all the way through, and they only keep 5. But I think Blackson, he's good. He's been really good, and he's a veteran.
Yeah.
Sign off on that, Todd?
Yeah.
All right, let's
It's
do
hard
it.
to leave Matt out of it, though.
It really is.
Maybe
And
he'll be practice squad.
you hope you get him there.
Okay, we only have a couple of minutes to round out this. Let's jump into the secondary. Obviously, locks in the... Let's do cornerback and safety separately. Cornerbacks, obviously, Pat Surtain is a lock. Riley Moss is a lock. Damari Mathis, with his injury, after the game, Sean Payton said it's not that serious, so we can include him on this 53. Damari's a lock. Levi Wallace, I mean, he was a lock before he got hurt. Do we still think he's a lock?
I think he is.
Okay, Levi Wallace. Is that it?
Jaquan?
And Jaquan. Yep,
Yeah.
of course. Obviously a lock. Anyone else, or is that it for right now?
I think that's... I mean, Traymon's a tough one. I think you probably...
Traymon's a lock.
He is a lock?
Special teams.
The only thing is, can you get him to the practice squad? Because he doesn't have to clear waivers.
He's their number 1 special teams player.
Okay.
Hey, I'm all aboard the Traymon train.
Traymon's a
You don't
lock,
have to
but
convince
then
me.
is that 6 corners, or are we...
Run it
saying
through again. Run it through
Damari-
again.
Okay, Pat?
Yes.
Riley?
Yes.
Jaquan?
Yes.
Traymon?
Yes.
And then Damari? And
Also-
Levi. Damari and Levi.
Also, Chris Abrams-Drain.
Yes.
Oh, fuck.
Yes, put him on.
Abrams-Drain.
Put him on. He's nice. He's solid.
Chris
He is
Abrams-Drain's
good.
for
He's
sure a
young, but
lock.
he can cover. He can play.
So then, Damari Mathis or Levi Wallace or both aren't making it.
Why not?
You're going to carry 7 corners?
I mean, that's what we've kind of seen, though. I mean,
No,
you could trade
not
Damari.
7.
I don't think you can. The thing is, you
No,
can't.
Damari's hurt. You can't trade him today.
Exactly. So you're just kind of stuck unless you're cutting Damari, and I don't think you're cutting Damari.
So then you're keeping 3 safeties.
I mean, this is
So let's
again,
look
this
at
is why
safeties when we're having this conversation. PJ Locke
Yes.
is a
Yep.
lock. Brandon Jones is a
Yes.
lock.
Devin Key's probably 3rd.
Lock.
Yep.
Lock.
Lock.
Okay. And then you have J.L. Skinner. You have Keydron Smith.
Yep.
Who's making it out of those?
This is why I had Jonas Griffith off.
But who's making it out of
This
those?
was what it came down to.
Keydron.
Oh, wait.
Keydron's making it? No JL? Or are you keeping 5 safeties?
I think JL goes to the practice squad.
Okay,
Yep.
boom. There we go. There's the 4 safeties.
I thought we only had room for 3.
We only have room for 3.
Yeah,
That's why I
okay.
think we need to go revisit cornerback again. I don't think they're keeping 7.
So who do you have?
Yeah, who do
We
you get rid
have
of?
Chris Abrams-Drain,
Yeah.
who is a lock, I think. We got Tremon Smith.
Yep.
Todd, do you think he's a lock? Pat Surtain, obviously. Jaquan, locks. Riley Moss, lock. I think we need to get rid of either Damari Mathis or Levi Wallace.
I think I'd rather have them than Keedron Smith. As I'm like, yeah, I
You're not
like
keeping
what
3
Keedron's done.
safeties. You got to keep 4 safeties.
Put him on practice squad. I mean, I will say you could just sign Tremon to the practice squad. You play him the first 4 games, and then you find him a roster spot after that. That's what I did on my 53.
Or you what?
Devin Key is on.
Yeah. Devin
Yeah,
Key.
he makes
Yep.
it. There's a lot of talented guys though, because you
I
know who
know.
had a hell of a camp is Reese Taylor.
I agree.
Practice squad.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's so fun to have you in here and say these things that I've been saying during camp.
Yeah, he was
Like I've been
balling
all over Reese
camp.
Taylor, and then he shows up the first preseason game and gives up the touchdown and just has like a really rough day. And that's why I think he's a practice squad guy.
Okay, I think
But-
here's what happens. I think either Levi or Tremon, they cut initially, then they move after they put Riley or Damari Mathis on IR for 4 weeks. They bring the other guy back.
I don't think you're going Damari. You could put Levi Wallace on the practice squad. Damari would have to clear waivers.
No, I'm saying Damari goes on IR, so he makes it initially.
I mean, you could.
We got to cut one of these corners. Unless you think they're keeping all 7, Todd. And you want to
No.
say goodbye to Jonas.
No, they're not keeping 7.
Yeah,
I think-
exactly. They're not keeping 7. So who is it? I think it's one of those 2 vets.
That they're cutting.
Yeah.
I would say that Levi makes the team.
Levi makes the team. So Tremon, you are not making the team right now.
But
I know
yeah,
it makes
like
you sick, Todd.
he's
That's
you tell him beforehand.
He's coming back.
We're signing
Yep.
you to practice
Yep.
squad. You're playing. You're getting all your money. You're playing the first 4 games.
I think
from
he
the
makes the team,
practice squad, and then he's getting elevated when somebody's on IR. You make another move. I know.
Todd's made his case.
Yep.
Okay, and then of course the 3 specialists you have Riley Dixon or Trenton Gill. Todd, who wins that punting competition?
Riley.
Yep.
Riley. Yep, I agree with you there. Then of course Will Lutz, and then Framboni.
Fraboni.
As your long snapper. There's the Broncos 53-man roster. We'll see how it's going to break down tomorrow when the cuts actually come. And we got to hit some super chats really quick before we get out of here. Let's dive into those. First super chat coming in from our friend Simon, who says, glad to have you back, Todd. Is being a DC or head coach something you'd like to eventually do? Or would you prefer being a position coach or stay in broadcasting? Also, what's your craziest story from training camp?
Yeah, I would love to be a defensive coordinator and head coach down the line. Position coach first for a little bit of time, but then go to DC. I think it'd be fun to do. So yeah, I would have a great time.
You will be a DC and head coach someday.
Craziest story from training camp.
We'll let you think on that.
Yeah,
We'll get
yeah,
that
I'll
later
think.
this week.
I'll
Great
think for sure.
question, Simon. We have Rod who comes in and says, he actually has a few. Thank you, Rod. He says, Todd, I love the culture Sean Payton is building since arriving. How do you feel about the overall structure of the team? I love the defense. Do you like our depth?
Yeah, I really do. I think we have a talented team, and I think we're going to be better than a lot of people think. I think we have a lot of guys that go and hunt right now, and that's what we need as a defense. I mean, you talk about a guy who brings energy every day is Malcolm Roach, and everybody kind of just feeds off of it. DJ Jones brings energy every day. I think that Singleton is playing at a really, really high level right now, and
Yes,
just
he
shooting
is.
gaps and making plays. I think you pair that with Pastor 10 and J Mac is probably the most underrated player on the roster right now. Like, there's nothing he can't do.
Could you consider playing him outside?
Absolutely.
We've
I've
seen him do it a little bit.
I absolutely could, but I think with how much 11 personnel you play in the NFL, he's going to get plenty of playing time. And Riley Moss, I think, is a dog. I think that he can do everything you need him to do. He can make all the plays. He can cover you one-on-one. He's fast enough. If he can just be patient and make his plays, man, I think he's talented. And then we have great depth. I talked about it at the safety position. I think there's depth. I think Brandon Jones is going to come back and be a good piece of this puzzle. Abrams Drain, I think, is a young quarterback, but I think he has a lot of talent. I mean, just all around the board. You talk about Cooper, and you talk about Baron Browning, and you talk about all of our young outside linebackers, man. I think the team is in a very, very good position, man. So I was happy to be there. I learned a lot, but this team is going to hunt.
I love it. What a great note to end on. We got 2 more super chats, but we got to get out of here, so let's save them for tomorrow's show. Rod will hit your super chat tomorrow, and also Shem Hanks will hit your super chat tomorrow. Thank you all so much for tuning in with us. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's show, 11 a.m., so make sure to stay tuned for that. We'll see you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.